Hey everyone, this is Nitro. In this video, I wanted to share a rumor about the Yu Yu Hakusho banners, which is that it may not be coming next week on January 16th. The reason why there is this suspicion is because of the January 9th update, the Macho Lotto for Lanford. Yesterday's update was supposed to have a 7-day event where you obtained daily 20 crystals and 10k gold. This event was supposed to be a lead-up event into the Yu Yu Hakusho banners. Because this event did not occur, there is now a suspicion that we may not be getting that banner as a result, the Yu Yu Hakusho one, of course. There is no guarantee here, of course. They may have decided to just not hold the event and give us the banner anyways, but there is this suspicion. So I just wanted to let people know, if they were 100% expecting the banner to come next week, that may not be the case. Okay, no guarantees at all, because clearly for the international server, Long Games has made a lot of adjustments to the banners, so from here on out we truly don't know roughly what to expect at all. So with that said, I will bring up the tentative banner schedule, which is now completely inaccurate, of course, to kind of show, I guess, what is coming up, hopefully, right? So, what has occurred thus far, for example? Well, we have finished with the Claret TRS Luna banner, so that one is completely gone. We have done the Ledin Rachel Ultimuller banner as well, so this one here is gone. We have also gotten the Rainforest and Betty banner, so that one is done as well. So what we have not gotten thus far, for example, is the Yu Yu Hakusho ones right here. We have not gotten the Landius Bozo banner, the Geralt Layla Juggler banner, and we also have not gotten the Prime Jessica Emelia banner and all the ones after that too, right? So, with all this mentioned, then, if we do not get the Yu Yu Hakusho banners next week, pretty much we are forced to get Prime Jessica and Emelia, right? Because that is the next banner with the new heroes. So the expectation then is we either get the Yu Yu Hakusho banners, or else we're getting Prime Jessica and Emelia. So I will, I guess, do a quick overview of Prime Jessica and Emelia in this video as well, because of us truly just no longer knowing what to expect to come up at this point. So, here we go. So I am going to rely on the Langrisser for the information, because it really is one of the best sources of upcoming information now. You know, it has very much replaced the Wikia in terms of finding out information for the game. So here we are. All right. So the two characters that may be coming up, you know, again, no guarantees, are Prime Jessica, or Young Jessica, and Emelia. So I am going to cover Emelia first.
父様、ごめんなさい。エルリン、帝国を滅ぼし、父様を倒した仇。どこにいるの？決闘を申し込むわ。はっ、これでも食らいなさい。指揮官、いかがです？はっ、私だって父様のように頼りがいがあるでしょ。
And Emelia is basically Vargas's daughter, right? The one that was born while he was fighting the war. So, Emelia's talent is the Inheritor of Divine Power, and it is very, very similar to Vargas. The higher the unit hit points, the more the magical damage is reduced, up to a maximum of 30% at 6 stars, right? Keep in mind, Vargas reduces physical damage, so Emelia reduces magical damage, which is interesting. Other than that, There is also the effect of will not die when suffering fatal damage, and heals for up to 30% of max hit points, right? This effect can only trigger once per battle. So that second effect is exactly like Vargas. In terms of classes, she is interesting in that she has a Lancer class, which is pretty standard, but her other class is actually a Holy class, a Templar class, kind of like Ledin, right? You can see up here, the stats are shown, right? The Templar class has more hit points, right? And it has less defense, but more magic defense value. So as a result, you will likely use her in the Templar class, but it is very viable to use her in the Lancer class as well. So the main thing about her is that she has the Holy Guardian skill, where guard range is increased to 2. It takes all attacks for adjacent allies. So unlike Vargas, it guards against both magical and physical attacks. And Holy Guardian replaces her attack with 1.6 times her magic defense, rather than 1.6 times her defense, right? In addition to all this, she can also counterattack against ranged attacks from 2 spaces away, while this skill is active. So, clearly, she is a very, very good tank. She very much replaces Vargas for the faction she's part of, which is Empire, of course, right? She is not part of the Strategist faction. She is Empire and Princess, so that's important to note. In other words, Ulte Muller's faction buff does not buff her up. And other than that, she basically has a whole bunch of other skills. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the rest. If you want the information, you can very much access the Wikia for additional information. But just briefly, I will mention, just like Vargas, she has an attack skill, which does 1.5 times damage, and before combat begins, she gets the Holy Guardian effect of replacing her attack with 1.6 times her magic defense. And once again, she can counterattack against ranged attacks from 2 spaces away. So, very, very good character overall. Lots of utility, very much worth building if you play either Empire or Princess, even though you may already have a tank in, let's say, Ledin or Vargas, respectively. So that is her main limitation. In fact, is really her factions, right? Empire and Princess, it's kind of iffy. I'm not a big fan of her factions myself, especially when you'll need someone else to faction buff her. But if you can work with those 2 factions, she is an amazing tank, right? Counterattack against ranged attacks, revival, right? Reduced damage from magic attacks, and so on and so forth. Right? Finally, in terms of soldiers that she has, you can see them right here. Stone Colossus, Orc Berserker, Exorcist, Vanguard Lancer, Zealots, Cyclops, and Treant Guardian. So a fairly wide variety of soldiers, but none of these are, how do you say it, very traditional soldiers, right? Let me just quickly jump into the game to explain what I mean, right? For the Lancer, for example, she doesn't have the Lava Titan. She has the Stone Colossus. So that's already a change. Her other soldier is the not yet unlocked Treant Guardians soldier, right? So both of those are not very traditional soldiers, as I mentioned. For infantry class, right, it was Orc Berserker or Cyclops. Both of those are very much the dark character soldiers, and they are both very offensively oriented, right? Orc Berserkers increasing attack massively, whereas Cyclops, as long as your hit points are higher than the enemy, your attack and defense both increase. So both of those 2 are very offensively oriented, but very focused on the Empire/Dark factions. Okay. For the Holy Soldier, it is Zealots and Exorcists. Nobody has leveled up Exorcist, as far as I'm aware. But most people do have Zealots leveled up, so that can work out. That particular soldier anyways. And then I think she also has Vanguard Lancers, which is another Lancer soldier, which I don't expect very many people to have leveled up either, because they require your soldier hit points to be below a certain percentage for an attack increase. Kind of an awkward kind of effect or skill. And those are her soldier choices. So I think that pretty much covers the main points that I've noticed with Emelia. And with all that mentioned, I think I will move on to talk about Prime Jessica.
運命の歯車がまた動き始めました。
時空の輪廻を超えてラングリッサーは再び輝く。私はジェシカ、女神の分身、女神の怒りに触れるがいいわ。女神の名においてこれが私の選択よ。光は私と共に。転生したら力が最盛期に戻ったの。
So let's jump back into the Langrisser page at this point. Alright, so let's switch over now to young Jessica, or Prime Jessica, or whatever the heck you want to call her. Her iffiness for young Jessica is once again the faction choice, right? It is Legion of Glory, Origins of Light, and the the Mythical Realm faction that is only buffed by Yizeroth at this time. You will likely, let's say, have Juggler in your party. You may have Elwyn in your party for 2 faction buffs, but in order to have a third one, you would very much need to bring Yizeroth as another character, which, as I said, can be kind of awkward. Her talent increases the damage she deals for each space she is away from a target, and that increases by 2, 4, 6, or 8%, right? So if you're attacking a target at pretty far range, that 8% times, let's say, 3 or 4 or even 5 tiles can add up to a lot of additional damage, allowing young Jessica to one-shot enemies. So that is why I've previously called young Jessica the siege tank of Langrisser Mobile, because she very much sets up in a position and then gets extended range to take advantage of her talent, right? So the second part of her talent is if unit waits without moving, then mobility increases by 1, 1, 1, or 2 tiles for 1 turn. Realistically, you would have to say it's only truly good at 6 stars. A 2 tile increase for 1 turn is kind of like getting a breezing chant as long as you don't move initially. Okay, so other than that, I should talk about the siege tank thing that I just mentioned, right? And I should also mention the talent, I believe, also works with her siege tank factor. So what it is the avatar state from her martyr class, right? So she has 2 main classes, the martyr class, the holy branch, and the mage class, of course, right? As is normal, the, martyr class would usually have less intelligence, of course, being holy class, while having, more hit points. So pros and cons, right? If you want more damage, you want the wizard class. If you want to be holy class with more hit points, you may leave her as a martyr. So with that said, we'll talk about her unique skill, the avatar state skill. It has a cost of 2 and a cooldown of 3. And it affects herself, of course. It's a transformation skill where, when used, all skill cooldowns are reduced by 3 turns, and she enters the avatar state. Mobility reduced by 3, skill range increased by 3, and at the end of your turn, you restore 1.5 times your intelligence and hit points and remove 1 debuff. If this skill is used while you are in the avatar state, you will remove the avatar state and the unit may move again. And finally, the avatar state cannot be dispelled or you cannot be immune against it. So, I think what the second part means is you can't be affected by, let's say, decay, and then that would prevent you from entering the avatar state. So, with all that said, Jessica then is, the unique thing about that is I think when you get out of the avatar state, you will still benefit from that additional movement, that 2 movement boost. So you can move 5 tiles after you leave the avatar state and an attack or whatever. So very, very nice skill, I would say. It just allows you to switch between these 2 states. The biggest problem is, of course, that 3-turn cooldown. So that once she enters the siege tank mode, the avatar state, she can't move for several turns. Right? Your enemy has to be in range for you to attack properly. Otherwise, she's kind of stuck in a position where she can't help the rest of your team. In practice, my understanding is she is a very powerful AoE attacker, but she cannot one-shot enemies with an AoE attack, right? When you consider it, let's say she has a range of 3, she adds 3 more range with the avatar state, so that's a 6th range. 6th range times, let's say, her talent effect of 8% is a 48% additional damage increase for the AoE attacks. But that's only, let's say, 50% more damage. Given that you usually need 2 or 3 AoEs to kill enemies, her avatar state AoE is definitely not enough to one-shot. But with that said, in a properly designed team, Prime Jessica can definitely help you dominate, right? Meteor can apply, the hit point, the fixed damage loss of 20% hit points on the enemies with a Force Fan, right? Sire of the Goddess is another skill with Force Fan and 3 range, which can dispel buffs on the enemies. In addition, it also restores hit points to allies. So she has a very good AoE attacks, right? As for her single target strike skills, well, you can see here she has Cleanse skill from Saint and a Fireball skill from her Mage class. So there you go. Basically, what you can say that Jessica is she's a highly versatile character, right? She can mass heal, she can heal people with her attack skill, she can enter the avatar state, she can launch AoEs, she can launch single target strikes like Cleanse and Fireball. So, high utility character. Of course, in order to use her properly, she, as like any other damage dealer, she is going to have to be 6 stars. And I think that pretty much sums it up.
まさかここで父様に会えるなんて夢みたい。ラングリッサーが導いてくれる。感じるわ。あらあら、これが若さなのかな。私少しは成長したのかしら。